Welcome to episode 12 of the On a Yellow podcast titled Inform. How are you doing today, Zach?
Pretty good. Can't complain. It's starting to get a little bit nicer out again after a couple cold days, so can't complain about that.
Yeah, it's definitely not soccer weather for us here. There's a lot of snow on the ground. Now, we could play soccer, and you saw it in the CPL final, but it is a bit difficult, to say the least.
Well, of course, CPL, a little bit of news about them. They just unveiled a brand new logo today.
Yep.
It's not my favorite move. I don't think it was kind of necessary. I think you're trying to stick with one and create an identity, and switching it up is not the best move, but it's an all right logo.
I think it's an all right logo too. I just think, I don't know. I just didn't think it needed to be changed, to be honest. But they wanted to basically have a cohesive logo template for all of the leagues within Canada. So the main CPL, which is the top division and professional league here, and then all of the junior leagues throughout all of the provinces have a similar logo, but obviously with different abbreviations and different colorways. I think the move is all right for the cohesive part. It's cohesiveness throughout all the leagues. I just feel like they could have done it for the main league. They could have had it different. So for the CPL, they could have had a different logo, and then all the rest of the logos within the junior leagues could have similar logos, because obviously the junior leagues aren't feeding into the main league, and the main league should be its own entity. And I feel like they could have done a little bit different. Like, you see all the other leagues around the world, and they're all synonymous for their logos. And this logo is just a bit boring, in my opinion, comparatively to the other logos. Even the MLS, I feel like, has a better logo than we do.
On all of the teams, they all posted, kind of the logo with their team colors.
Yeah.
And every team had the same caption: "Our colors, our league, proud to be part of the pathway." So maybe they are kind of trying to lead towards kind of a feeder system, potentially.
Potentially, obviously we see it with the MLS Next, where they get the best young talents, and they kind of have almost an academy system within the United States now. And obviously, Kevin Sullivan was one of the main guys to come out of that system, and there's been some other people. One of the guys we can transition to was Ali Ahmed, who actually was started in the MLS Next program. And he's been in form as of late. And I say in form, and he's been extremely in form for his new club, Norwich City.
Well, he was having a great season at Vancouver before making the move overseas. Mm-hmm. But, things have kicked off really well for him in England with Norwich.
Yep.
He's got, I believe, 3 goals already and an assist. So
yeah, I believe it's 3 goals, 3 goals and assist.
Maybe it's 2 goals.
No, 2 goals.
Assists.
Yeah, it's 2 goals, 2 assists in his first 2 games. And
3 games. They played 3 games at this point.
And he's played 3 games at this point, 3 straight wins as well. And they had a really big game yesterday against the top, the leaders of the championship, the mighty Coventry City FC, and they've, well, obviously Coventry have had a in-form season. A lot of their team's been really, really good, but now their lead is slowly diminishing, being only 4 points, I believe, or 3 points now. I believe it reduces the table to 3 points instead of the massive 10 points, I believe, that they had at the starting of the season.
Well, they're kind of tightening at the top of the championship. Wrexham, I believe, is still in a playoff spot at the moment.
They are 6th place right now.
You got Millwall, you got Hull, you got Middlesbrough.
Middlesbrough is 2nd, and they are only
Coventry,
3 points.
I don't remember who else is in the mix there, but there's a lot of teams that are in the mix there to get into either automatic promotion or make the playoffs. And, there is still a pretty big gap between, first and second to, even sixth. I think there's like 15 points or something crazy in between there.
That's usually how the league works. It's usually 1 and 2 dominate, and 3 to 6 who go into the playoffs, they find themselves lower down the pecking order.
Well, speaking on Norwich and Ali Ahmed again,
Yep.
They were down towards the very bottom of the championship table, fighting relegation to League One, which would be a pretty big relegation for a club like Norwich, who has obviously been in the Premier League recently.
And now, after these couple of games since Ali Ahmed has joined the team, they sit 4 points above the drop zone. And I believe before Ali Ahmed was there, they were in the drop zone. So it's really neat to see. Obviously, it's kind of a change in scenery for Ali Ahmed coming from North America and playing now in England. And obviously, he was kind of in his off season as the MLS hasn't started up until the spring. But he played very well for the Whitecaps. He had 4 goals and 12 assists for the Whitecaps in the 2025 season. And also, he's been scoring and getting assists for the Canadian national team. But that's something that Norwich City needed. I read a stat about Norwich City that he right now, Ali Ahmed, is tied for second or third place. He's tied for third place with assists this season for Norwich in only 3 games, with 2. The highest guy on their team, there's 2 people that are tied 1 and 2 with 3 assists. And one of those guys is Josh Sargent, who obviously is no longer going to be playing for Norwich City FC. And it's something that I think Norwich City really needed, and something that for that game against Coventry, you really saw Ali Ahmed's impact. Ali Ahmed started that game, I believe, and he plays on that left wing side, and he brought some intensity to the team. Every time he picked up the ball, he looked dangerous, and he was always driving forward. He's a very good technical footballer. He's very good with the ball, a very good dribbler of the ball, and he also can pass really well. Obviously, we saw in the MLS, he got 12 assists last season, and well, we saw it with his assist during the game against Coventry for Norwich City's first goal. He did a beautiful pass that honestly most footballers wouldn't be looking for, and he placed it perfectly. And it was a nice finish as well, but that chance was started by a drive by Ali Ahmed, and something that Norwich City have missed this season.
Well, he's obviously a very confident runner. Mm-hmm. He's very willing to take on a man, and he has the technical skills to get past his man when he makes those runs. And it's definitely something that most sides in football would love to have. Someone that's not afraid to just try and cause chaos towards the opponent's box, get players out of position and create chances. So obviously, he was doing it in the MLS, and it's good to see an MLS footballer come to England and get that respect, because a lot of the time they kind of disregard any sort of MLS players as having talent. So it's good to see someone make the move and really excel to start off. And I think he can be someone that could maybe even drag them towards the upper half of the table by the end of the season.
And I think that's something that Norwich City wants. I've always kind of had a special place for Norwich City as well. Obviously with Teemu Pukki, who used to be the striker for Norwich City back when they were in the Premier League. He had a Premier League Player of the Month, SBC, striker card that was very good back in the day in FIFA 17, I believe. And he kind of drew me to the Canaries, and I've always kind of had that affection for that team. And also their goal song. Their goal song is arguably one of the best goal songs in the world of football at the moment. And you got to hear that twice during Ali Ahmed's home debut, where he even did a celebration in front of the Norwich City fans of the Snake Pit. and he did a nice knee slide after he scored the winning goal for the side to beat Coventry City 2-1.
Well, I've always loved their kits that they've got there.
Beautiful
very,
kits.
Very good colors for a football team, and this season they have a pink kit, which is very eye catching, especially.
It's a very neat kit.
Yeah, they've always had top tier kits in my opinion.
Yeah. As someone who collects kits, a Norwich City one is something I want to add to my collection. I've always liked Norwich. I've always liked their colors. It's really unique. It's the Newton Heath colors of Manchester United's former self in the green and the yellow. Now, moving on to another Canadian footballer who is back in form, I should say, amidst the World Cup, is a well-known striker in the Canadian football game, Jonathan David, who sees himself in Italy scoring for the Old Lady. What's your thoughts?
Well, it's about time he started, picking up some sort of form. He came in, I believe, in his first game or second game he scored, and
it was his debut.
He kind of faltered a little bit, was losing playing time to Vlahovic. Now I'm not sure exactly the scoring record in the last couple of games, but he's definitely been on the score sheet a fair amount here.
He has 3 goals in the last 4 games, which makes him to have 4 goals in the league. He didn't score a goal since his debut match.
He's going to be Canada's starting striker at the World Cup, so it's good to see him, picking up some form in the run into there.
Exactly.
And we'll probably see him on the attack with Ahmed on the wing. That'd be my guess. And I think it's good to see Canadian footballers impressing on the world stage and really showing that they can be top players in Europe as well.
Well, it's really neat to see. I obviously like to see kind of putting Canada and Canadian football on the map. And also, like you said, amidst the World Cup coming up, he's going to be basically guaranteed a starting spot for us as our starting striker. And he's played well for the Canadian national team, but domestically, and especially for Juve, he's not played that great. Like we said earlier, he only had 1 goal before 4 games ago, where now he has a record of 3 goals and 4 assists. It's very big for his career because I was reading Spalletti, the manager of Juve, is actually looking for striker options to replace Jonathan David, as he's not been impressed about Jonathan David's form. He said this about Jonathan David. He said that he wants a striker that can hold up the play, and he actually mentioned Rasmus Højlund, not as a striker that they want to get, but as an example to a striker that can go into the midfield and is physical and can basically battle with that center back, hold up play for the midfield to rise up on the counterattack or on the attack. And, he also quoted after the game where Jonathan David scored a really nice left-footed finish after a failed clearance and also actually won the game for Napoli, or for Juve rather, as they beat Napoli, who are also not doing great this season. But he said, or as good as they want to be, he said, and I quote, "That's something we don't have. We don't have that physicality and physical presence." He said, "David is fine scoring goals, but when you look further, you also need someone who battles physically with the center back. We don't need a striker to score goals, but for that kind of job. David is very strong, but he can't do that job. So he can't do the job of holding up physicality," according to Spalletti. He further explained, if the team doesn't concede goals and David keeps his form scoring, then they're in a perfect situation, or they can keep their heads above water. Because right now, Juve is just out of 5th place. They're 6th place right now, and they're 5th place, I believe. I believe they're 5th. Are they 5th place or 6th place? I believe they're 5th place. But they're trying to get into the Champions League, and they're battling with Napoli right now, and it was a huge win against it. So what's your thoughts, Zach, on, obviously, you watch the Canadian game all the time. You've been seeing Jonathan David since he was playing for Lille in Ligue 1. What's your thoughts on Spalletti's kind of opinions and his decision to try to look for another striker?
Well, Jonathan David has a very specific role, even in the Canadian team.
Mm-hmm.
He's not the biggest guy on the pitch. That's what we have Toby, not Toby, Promise David for. His nickname's Toby for some reason.
Yep.
He's the bigger striker that can, kind of hold up play a little bit, even for Team Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Jonathan David's a little bit more of a target forward, maybe.
Yep.
A poacher kind of player. So the quote that says he doesn't need a striker to score would kind of is kind of a contradictory thing, because that's what you want your strikers to do, is score. And now that he is picking up that scoring form, maybe they bring in another person to play alongside David potentially, because you don't want to he's playing at the top of his game at the moment. You don't want to bring in somebody and then just bench him and lose that form again. You want to try and capitalize on players that you already have in the team, obviously, especially after him making the big move. He had so many clubs that were interested in him. He picked Juve because they found a role for him that he felt he could flourish in, and now he's stepping in the second half of the season here and flourishing. I think you have to try and build around that. Potentially bring someone in for late game substitution that could be a hold up kind of striker.
There's been rumors and rumblings of Joshua Zirkzee apparently being a possible acquisition by Juve, but I don't think these rumors have come to complete fruition, at least to the Fabrizio Romano level. I think Juve should keep with their striker, Jonathan David. I think they have someone there. And I don't really understand Spalletti's kind of comments in the sense of, it is, like you said, contradictory to say you don't want your striker to score goals. I think he's pleased with a striker scoring, but he did say that he wants a striker to hold up play. Obviously, Italian football is very tactics-based. It's very tactical. It's not necessarily like a Premier League, which is just long balls and driving down the wing with intensity. It's a very physical league, and I believe that's just something that Jonathan David hasn't been producing. And I mean, to be honest, I can see where he's coming from.
Well, he's only 5'9".
Yeah.
So I don't know exactly what he expected for Jonathan David being a big physical guy. He's not that archetype of player.
No.
He's one that gets in behind defenders and scores. He's not one that bursts through defenders in that same kind of way.
I think the one thing I think that he wouldn't like is his form as of late. As of late, it's been really good, but his form for Juve as a whole has been kind of lackluster. So for Lille last season, he made 48 appearances and he had 25 goals. This season, he's already made 21 appearances and has 11 starts, and he only has 4 goals this season. And I think that's something that, as a manager, you would want to look into.
Well, he is the second highest scorer on their team with 4, though,
True.
To be fair. So you have to kind of look at other players, too,
Exactly.
who aren't performing, because Keenan Yildiz is kind of carrying that team with his 8 goals so far this season.
I think with that, though, with Jonathan David, you have to look at that and being like, he's been signed as a number 9, as a striker, and a striker's real only main job is to score goals. And if you're not scoring, as of late, he was only at 1, right, until 3 games ago.
Well, as you mentioned, after he's gotten the starting role back from Vlahovic here, he's only started 11 games.
Yeah.
That's not that many.
True.
So he hasn't had a ton of minutes to try and put up a lot of goal contributions. So, he obviously started in his debut. He scored in that game, and now the last 3 games, I'm assuming he was the starter. Last 4 games, and he scored again. So I think you just he has to have minutes to produce. I don't think he's a super sub kind of guy.
I feel like most strikers aren't that super sub type of guy. A lot of the super subs are those winger types that can facilitate attacks because of their speed, right? They come in at the later game, but they're very fast and speedy. So when someone has been playing a full 89 minutes, 88 minutes, they come on right at the end of the game. They can get past them. I feel like with strikers, especially number 9s, they need a lot of chances to get into the game. They can't just switch on a switch and be like, oh, I'm in the game already, without having a shot on goal. They need to have multiple shots on goal, and if it goes in, it goes in. But a lot of the times, those shots are just good chances to switch the momentum around. I think I can see, why Spalletti would say the physicality part, but I feel like if you got him for that role, then you've just obviously not scouted him properly, because he's not a physical player in the sense of a physical like a Hoyland is, like a big kind of blocky guy that goes down and holds up play, even like Harry Kane, right?
And we're talking about Juve having a bad season, but they've only lost 4 games all year.
It's such a competitive
all
league.
of which were on the road.
Yep.
They're undefeated at home, so they only have 12 goals on the road as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of something where you have to take it with a grain of salt, because
Exactly.
They have 4 losses, but the 2 teams above them that have one more point have 5 and 7. So it's just converting potential draws into wins, and having someone in form like Jonathan David could help that happen.
It's a very competitive league, except for I believe the top 2, because I believe the 2 Milan teams, AC and Inter.
Inter's kind of running away with it at 52 points right now.
Yeah, exactly. And Inter, they've been in form this season. Obviously, Lautaro Martinez, I believe, has the most goals in the league right now. Which is very, very neat to see. Obviously, he's a very clinical striker. He showed it in the Champions League last year and in the league, but Napoli came out victors. Now, moving on, we're talking about inform, and we're talking about inform players this year and this season so far, or especially inform players of the past week. And a guy that we cannot not talk about is Endrick coming back to what people thought he was going to become. He's kind of coming back to the form he had when he was playing for Palmeiras in Brazil, and he's back to this very promising young winger and striker and forward. He's coming as a very promising player, and I'm very excited to see how he will play in the future, especially even for Real Madrid. But right now, he got a hat-trick last game, and he has 4 goals and 1 assist in 3 games for his new team, Lille. What's your thoughts on Endrick so far?
Not Lille.
Leon, sorry.
He's obviously he's finally getting minutes, which helps.
Yes.
Because at Real Madrid he barely played any minutes, so it's hard for him to kind of live up to anything if he's not getting game time. But
he made 22 appearances for Real Madrid in his first season. But yeah, those appearances were there wasn't long appearances, I should say. Like, he wasn't on for as long as he would want to.
But if we're looking at this current season, he's only played 3 games.
Wow.
For Real Madrid, which he's already equaled at Lyon, and he's probably already played more minutes than he has at Real Madrid this season. So, I think it's hard to say that he wasn't living up to something, because he didn't really have opportunities to try and show that he could. Obviously, when he was getting minutes in Brazil, he was producing. He came to Real Madrid, he stopped getting minutes, stopped producing, and now he's being relied on again as a top player on Lyon.
Yeah,
and I think that gives him confidence. He's kind of a player that needs to be leaned on a bit. He can't really come into the game similar to Jonathan David.
Yeah. And I think with Endrick, it's really important for him to show his stuff. And in this league, in Liga 1, it's like the perfect league for an Endrick type of player, because they kind of wait for the forward to make the move, and instead of the Premier League or even La Liga, where it's stronger tackles and I think La Liga, it was hard. I think Endrick could have played in any other team other than maybe Barcelona, and he would have got starting minutes. But you're playing with Real Madrid, where your front three consists of Vinny Jr. And Mbappe, right? And sometimes Rodrigo, but I don't think it's Rodrigo right now. Could be, maybe. I don't really know. But Endrick didn't have that much game time. That was one of the main reasons why he wanted a loan move, because he wanted to. It was key to his development to get more playing time.
Well, even if we look at last season at Real Madrid,
Yeah,
in the Copa del Rey, a competition he did get game time, he had 5 goals in 6 matches.
exactly.
So I think he's just somebody very similar to a Jonathan David that needs game time and needs to be relied on
Yeah.
to make an impact.
And that's what he said. He said he needs to develop his game, and part of developing his game is playing more minutes. And he actually, to get this loan move and to kind of want this loan move, he talked to his national team coach and former coach of Real Madrid, Carlo Ancelotti, and who basically took his advice. Ancelotti said he should go out, play, and develop your soccer where you can. And he took that advice apart with his own wants and needs as a player to get more playing time and to grow and develop your game. And if you think about it, this loan move is perfect for him because he is their number one. Obviously, they lost Shirky to Manchester City, and they needed a flashy winger to facilitate attacks and to score goals, and Endrick was their solution. And at only 19 years of age, has really shown he's really stepped up his game, and I think he will be an asset to maybe potentially staying at Lyon further or going back to Real Madrid. Now, I don't necessarily think Endrick. I think he would want to go back to Real Madrid, but only if he's guaranteed playing time. I feel like if he's playing on Lyon, he said that he loves playing for Lyon. He's pleased with playing in Ligue 1. He likes the physicality and aggression of the league, he said. And he also said he's happy with the team, he's happy with the staff, he's happy with the fans, and he wants to work hard to maintain their top 4 spot. And I feel like it's really neat to see a player who obviously was seen not as a flop, but as someone that wasn't living up to their potential. And he's still so young. He's still only 19 years of age. And it's really big for him as well. Especially it's big for every player that has a national team and plays for the national team to get that spot to play in the World Cup. And if he has such a good relationship with Carlo Ancelotti, I think he might be guaranteed a spot on that Brazil national team. Especially with his form as of late, he could probably guarantee that spot, and that's huge. You're 19 years of age going to a World Cup, especially playing for your national team of Brazil, one of the most famous teams in that World Cup competition. So I feel like he wants to play more game times to show Carlo Ancelotti, the manager of the Brazil national team, that he is there. He's a player that they can rely on when the other players, like a Neymar's and stuff, are injured and can't potentially be able to play.
Well, if he does go back to Real Madrid, it's obviously a club with a lot of competition.
Exactly.
On the attack with Vinny Jr., Rodrigo, Brahim Diaz, all kind of competing for the same positions.
Yep.
I do think it would probably be best for him to go somewhere where he's guaranteed to play starting minutes every game, because obviously when he gets those kind of opportunities, he produces on a team like Real Madrid where there's just a massive abundance of talent completely throughout the roster.
Yep.
It's hard for a young player to break through, especially when you have a player like Vinicius Jr. and Mbappe on the attack who are solidified as some of the best footballers in the world.
Exactly. And Endrick's not guaranteed game time. And if he needs game time to develop, like every young talent needs, I feel like it's really good to go to a team like Lyon right now, where he is number one. He is their main guy. And he's feeling that right now. He's feeling like a lot of the spotlight is on him and not on all the other egos on the team. And I feel like that's really good for him to develop his game, especially now developing that attitude of I am number one. And also helping a team like Lyon, who obviously have a huge fan base. They have probably some of the best ultras like in in the world when it comes to theatrics, obviously with their tifos and pyro. And I think it's probably just a change in scenery that Endrick needed. And he said, yeah, like he said, or I said, he's very happy with his position. He wants to represent his team and of Brazil in the World Cup, and he has a really good relationship with Carlo Ancelotti, and I think that will happen. Obviously, he represented them in the Copa America back in 2024, and he didn't have a great tournament, but I think now he's growing into a player that's no longer a kid anymore. He's growing into a player that you can rely on, and especially he's the number one on Lyon, and as for like the attacking outlet, and it'll be really good to see him in the World Cup, and just really good for him to keep his form. Obviously, they're in fourth place right now with 36 points. They're 9 points from PSG, who sits number one now, because Lens dropped points. And it's sad to see, because obviously Lens were holding up on number one, playing absolutely in really good football, and now PSG have taken the crown again. But anything can happen in the league, because I'm pretty sure it's only like a 1 to 2 point difference, so it won't be that bad. Now moving on again, we're talking about in-form players. And I'm a Manchester United fan, as the average viewers of our podcast will know already, seeing I talk about them almost every single podcast episode. We need to talk about Patrick Dorgu, or Dorgu dominance. Obviously, sad to hear that he has picked up an injury after his goal last game, and finds himself out for an approximate 10 weeks with a hamstring injury.
Is that an injury that could, hamper the current form potentially?
I mean, obviously, I hope not.
Well, he's obviously been a big part of the last couple results for you guys. So losing a player like that could potentially swing things back in the wrong direction, I think.
And that's something we don't want to happen. We want to keep the momentum. He's been a very key player for us in the last couple of games. He's been praised by Michael Carrick, and he has 2 goals under Carrick now. 2 goals, one against Manchester City and one against Arsenal.
Well, his goal against Arsenal was just an absolute rocket.
I lost my voice,
which was a fantastic shot.
I almost died after celebrating that shot, as I was just kind of filled with like, oh my God, I didn't think that Dorgu had that in him. But obviously, beautiful shot. I don't think he was really expecting much. It was kind of just well hit, and it hit off the crossbar and in the net. But what a goal. Bale-esque, you could say.
Apart from just, the fact that he scored 2 goals in the last games, they were both very important goals in those games. He solidified the win against Man City.
Yep.
Stifled a potential comeback for a draw there. And against Arsenal, he gave them the lead.
Yes.
Up until the 84th minute, when Arsenal drew equal again. But just 3 minutes later, Cunha, kind of saves the game there.
The surfer boy.
But, apart from the fact he's scoring goals, he's scoring important goals that can change the entire route of a season. And I believe he's got 6 goal contributions now this season. For a fullback, it's very impressive.
And, to put into context, Dorgu, he came to our squad February of last year, so he's almost been on our team for a year. He went and he got to our club for £25 million, which honestly for a player is kind of a steal as of his late form. But it didn't start off that way. Under Ruben Amorim, he was a left wing back option, and he wasn't really a left wing back. I think he's better playing that forward role. I believe he plays up front, like in the forward role for Denmark. He plays like a left wing or right wing for Denmark, and he was scoring goals for them. But
he scored 2 for Denmark in 5 matches.
Exactly. And he kind of for Man United, it was kind of like you would look at the international break, you would see Paddy Dorgu on the score sheet, and you were kind of like, what's happening on Manchester United? And I think the best thing for Dorgu was the change of manager, because Ruben Amorim didn't really like his form. He said in the press conference, which was like really huge and also just really bad. He was right beside a young player of Dorgu, and he said something that honestly, for a young player to hear, is kind of bad. He basically said that every time Dorgu gets the ball, Dorgu has anxiety, and he said that I have anxiety as well watching Dorgu play. And to be honest, I don't think that's something you should be saying as a manager.
Well, I can see where he's potentially coming from, a player moving from a smaller league to one of the biggest clubs in the world.
And saying he lacks confidence in his ability, right?
He's playing in front of a lot more fans and a lot more of a viewed league. So I can understand why, there'd be a little bit of nerves,
yes,
especially towards the beginning of your time at a team. But, it's not something that you want to hear your manager say right to your face.
Exactly.
Especially not in front of, reporters and putting it into the news. Maybe have that conversation in the dressing room one-to-one and figure out ways to try and work around that, gain some confidence and shake those nerves.
And I think that's one of the issues with Ruben Amorim. He was very vocal during his press conferences, and you would say anything about his players. And I feel like I like Carrick when he does his press conferences. Obviously, we've been in winning form under Carrick, so to be honest, his press conferences are all praise. But I feel like if you're not going to do praise, you address the team as a whole rather than picking and choosing players, because it's a team game, and you losing the game is not necessarily a player's fault; it's the team's fault. And I really like how Carrick has viewed his press conferences. They, of course, ask him about certain players, but he has all praise for his players. And I feel like even if we were in losing form, he would still have praise for the players, because it's a team game. But to create that climate and get the climate back to what it used to be under Alex Ferguson, I feel like Carrick is trying to bring it back to that. Obviously, he played under Alex Ferguson and understands what the climate was to be a Manchester United player at that time. And it's really neat to see how he's trying to implement that, because after Ruben Amorim left, the climate was abysmal. Even when Ten Hag was there, it was really negative. The press was negative, but I think everyone was negative about Manchester United, and Carrick is trying to change that. He said in his press conference after the Arsenal victory, he said that Pat has been a big player for us, and he also praised Dorgu, talking about how he's been an asset to the side offensively and defensively. And that's huge to hear a manager praise you like that, especially on a press conference. And it's huge for Dorgu's confidence. I hope that once he's back from his injury and he's healed, I hope that he maintains that. Maybe doesn't maintain the same form, because obviously you're going to be out for approximately 10 weeks. You're missing almost
most of the rest of the season.
And I feel like it's 9 games, so you're missing most of the rest of the season. And I feel like you won't pick up the same form, but at least if you can keep the confidence of I'm not going to obviously have the same form, but I'm going to play with more confidence, like he's shown in the last couple of games after he got moved up to play that kind of left wing, left cam role under Carrick. He shoots more, he dribbles more confidently, and he's also passing. Instead of doing safe passes, which he used to do, which he used to just go down the line and then pass it back towards the defender or towards the midfielder to facilitate attack, he's now passing more dangerously, and he's doing step overs around players and trying to facilitate attacks, and that's just confidence. I feel like he's no longer that worried, kind of anxiety-inducing player in which Amorim described him as when he began at Man United. I feel like he's molded into a player now where he's full of confidence. And now, after seeing social media blow up after his goal, I feel like even if he gets back from injury, he will be he'll be ready to get back to that form as soon as he can.
Obviously, it's really important for, especially a manager just starting out his tenure at a club.
Yes.
To try and gain the trust of the players as quick as possible, so that they start playing his system the way he wants them to. So talking positively about these players, trying to create those relationships in a positive light, helps the players in a whole different amount, because if you're going from your former manager telling you suck
exactly
to the audience, and then your new manager's coming in and giving you praise, it's got to do worlds for your confidence.
Exactly.
It can only help try and bring out that form and become the player that you were either formerly knew yourself as, or just a whole new player essentially under a new manager.
Exactly, and Michael Carrick has done wonders for Manchester United. Obviously, I'm not going to talk extensively about Man United and under Carrick, but I feel like, obviously, because we've talked about it in previous episodes, but I do want to talk about it as we have beaten Arsenal and Manchester City under Carrick. Carrick's system is working wonders for Manchester United. This is a system where Ruben Amorim, who was kind of staunch on his position, didn't want to change his formation. Carrick's kind of proving him wrong. He said that his team cannot play under a 4-back formation, and he's proved his team wrong. And he's proved kind of Amorim wrong. He now plays in the 4-2-3-1 formation. But what's unique about it is this formation usually has a kind of dedicated number 9, the striker, who will stay in the striker position. But under Carrick, his system is really fluid. So Ahmad, Dorgu, Mbeumo, and Bruno Fernandes, the top 4 people in that 4-2-3-1 formation, they all kind of cycle in a circle. Basically, they're not rigid. Like Mbeumo is playing striker on the formation sheet and how it looks on TV, but he actually will switch depending on where the ball is. So he'll drop back deep, and then when he drops back deep, Ahmad would realize that, and Ahmad will go and cycle up to the forward. So it's constantly moving. It's constantly fluid. There's not dedicated positions. They're not trying to stay. They're actually going and playing really fluid football, and I feel like that shows how good Man United's been, because this system really values our players. Our players are not rigid to one system, or rigid to one position, especially when we're playing Ahmad, we're playing Mbeumo, we're playing Dorgu, and we're playing Bruno. All of these players can play multiple positions on the pitch. So I feel like with this fluid kind of way of playing, where it's more kind of, it's not position-based, but it's more how the game is going, and zone-based. So if Mbeumo drops, then one forward goes up high, and you're constantly going around in this kind of circle where players are moving fluidly throughout different positions. And it makes sense because Mbeumo can play striker, left wing, cam. Bruno can play cam, center mid, center defensive mid. Ahmad can play right wing, striker. Like, all these players can play those different positions, even Cunha. So I feel like the system that Carrick has really values our players and their skill sets, obviously being able to play multiple positions. And I feel like that's kind of a key to our success. But more than the formation, I've talked about it previously by talking about Dorgu. He's bringing confidence back into the team and bringing positive energy versus negative energy. Many people might not think that it's that important to have that energy within the club and that climate, but it's very important for winning. There's some teams maybe not have the best skill and the best players. Man United have very good players, but we don't have like a Liverpool's players, like a Wirtz and an Isak, which you would expect, not based off of this season, but based off of last season, are better than the players that we have. Manchester City has arguably one of the best strikers in the world right now, Erling Haaland, but it's just the climate of the team. The climate of the team is positive. And that translates to on the pitch with more confidence. We're positive, and we stay in the game fully. It's the first time where I've watched Man United in the recent years against a Manchester City, against a Arsenal, where I felt confident about Manchester United, and it was a close game instead of just a team's missed chances. And I feel like it's a really cool thing, and I'm excited to see how we play against a team like Fulham, as our next 3 games are Fulham, Tottenham, and West Ham. So maybe United
You can
Strand.
win everything except against
No.
West Ham.
That's our last game too, which means if we lose or tie against West Ham,
You
it
better
means
lose.
United Strand's not getting a haircut.
We need to win that game.
I know you're a West Ham fan, but would you want to see United Strand get a
No.
haircut?
I think it's funnier if he doesn't.
Now, speaking about your team's on winning form too. Obviously, we talk about Man United is the battle for top 4 placement into the Champions League. You're not having the best season in the sense you're not fighting for the same as Man United is, but you're fighting to stay out of relegation. You're in a relegation spot right now, but there's a bright future ahead right now based off of your last 2 results.
Well, we've won 3 straight, including our game against QPR. And in those 3 straight games, Crescencio Somerville has found himself scoring goals for us, which is a world of help for us, especially trying to do the great escape of the relegation zone.
What a baller he is.
Our big, of course, we picked up a big win against Sunderland at home 3-1, which saw the gap go to 2 points. But then Brentford did us no help at all and lost 2-0 to Nottingham. So it's back to a 5-point gap. But despite that, we did make progress towards staying safe from relegation.
Yep.
And now there's a couple more teams dragged into that kind of battle. Tottenham and Crystal Palace are right within potential reach if we keep winning. And certain teams like Tottenham have been really poor recently. Could see them slip down potentially into relegation zone as well. And I don't believe that, I saw this one video about a Liverpool fan being worried about relegation while sitting in 6th because their form has been bad recently.
Yes.
And they have a pretty competitive run-in towards the end of the season here. Mm-hmm. But I highly doubt that they're going to fall all the way from 6th to the relegation battle.
They probably won't.
But, teams like Tottenham and Crystal Palace have had a rough season as well. And we're only 8 points down from them at the moment. We've had better form as of late. But one thing that is not in our favor is potentially our upcoming schedule in the next couple games. As Nottingham and Leeds potentially have easier schedules. We play Chelsea next, and then we have to win the game after that against Burnley. If we don't win that, I think it's chalked over as relegation at that point, because that's a pretty must-win game for you have to beat the other relegation teams, obviously.
Yes.
After those 2 matches, we have Man United.
Yep.
Then we go to our FA Cup match against Burton Albion, which hopefully we can win that game.
Is the Manchester United game at home for you guys, or is it at Old Trafford? Because I think that's also
at home for us.
Okay, so that's a better way for Manchester United to come in to your ground, because obviously it's very hard to play at Old Trafford, especially if you're a team that's needing a win.
So yeah, we have Chelsea, then Burnley, Man United, Bournemouth, Liverpool, Fulham, Man City, Aston Villa.
Please beat Chelsea. That would be great for me.
We have, and then after that, tough patch of games there against Liverpool, Man City, and Villa. We get Wolves, Crystal Palace, Everton, Brentford, which would be pretty crucial wins if we can pick those ones up and potentially, force a draw against a Liverpool or a Man City, try and mitigate damages against, top table teams to try and escape relegation, and potentially a very big game that the last day of the season against Leeds could be to stay safe from relegation. One team goes down from that game potentially.
I mean, that would be like a really cool game for me to watch as a as someone that's not involved
It'd
with
be
either
terrifying for me.
team. But
we
I
have
will,
to win some games in the run
I'll
into
tell you,
towards there.
as a Manchester United fan, beat Leeds because I don't like Leeds as a team.
Well, yeah, it's a pretty big rivalry.
It's
there.
a pretty big rivalry. Obviously, Leeds fans view it more than Manchester United fans do, but it's still a rivalry that's up there with our Liverpool, Man United, and the Manchester derby as well.
Well, I hope Tottenham keeps up their current poor form because their last Premier League win was December 28th.
Wow.
Against Crystal Palace, and Crystal Palace's current form. I believe their last win was December 11th in the Conference League against Shelbourne.
Oh, my God.
They have not won a game since then. They've got a couple draws against decent teams, but they've
also lost to Macclesfield
They lost
Town.
to Macclesfield Town. They drew with KUPS in the Conference League. They're just, I think, potentially... they might get dragged into the battle here before relegation. It might be a bit of a 5-team fight for
it would be
for survival
for
kind
someone
of thing.
for someone that's looking at it from an outside lens. It's something that will be kind of neat to see. I think that's the best thing about the Premier League is it's a very competitive league in the sense of the teams other than the teams at the top usually. Like the top 3 are always fighting for their own thing, but there's a bunch of different battles. We talked about this in like one of our first episodes with the Premier League and how there's a ton of different stories that come out of this league.
Well, the mid-table is always super competitive.
Exactly.
Even looking at this year, Liverpool's in 6th with 36 points, but you can go down to 13th and it's 30 points.
And Man United's in 4th place somehow.
You have 38 points.
We're in Champions League placement now.
And then there's a big gap there to Aston Villa.
Yeah, I know.
On 46 points, obviously.
Yes.
And, our main team potentially is on poor form for the entire season, but our under-21 squad has just picked up a win against Boston United to go to the National Cup semifinal.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And
I don't really know that tournament that well.
We were the only Premier League U21 side to even qualify to the knockout rounds for it.
Wow.
So I'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, you have a bright future, I guess, if you think about it. Bright future with a lot of young talent. Manchester United didn't do well in that tournament, and we're known to have one of the best under-21s in the world, especially in England, with us being number 1 in that respective U21 league. And it's really good to see. But West Ham is like really like close there too, and the top as well.
Well, our U21 team was in the round of 16 for the EFL Trophy as well.
Wow!
And we lost 4-2 to Wimbledon in that game. We had tied it. We had brought it within 1 towards the end of the game. But they scored in the 90+6 to move on in that tournament.
That's cool. I mean, yeah, so we were talking about the Premier League and the stories. Like, we have the battle for the title. We got the battle for top 4. We got the battle to maintain kind of a spot in the mid-table. We got and then we got the battle to not get relegated. And I feel like that's why leagues, especially I think any league in the world that has a relegation system has similar stories. I just think different leagues, depending on how good they are, have more teams within different stories. So we have more teams in the Premier League fighting for the championship than like Bundesliga.
I really hope we stay up because I'm liking the look of the championship promotion. I think there'd be some fun teams to play in there. Yeah. Obviously Millwall, big rival of West Ham, is in the battle for that. I'd love to play, Prem games against a Millwall.
Yeah.
Potentially a Hull City making their return to the Premier League after a little while.
Middlesbrough,
Coventry City. I think there's
Wrexham.
A lot of really interesting teams that could come up to the Premier League next year, and next year could be a really exciting team with some uncommon teams in the Premier League.
Exactly. Obviously, with your team, you got an acquisition. You got Adama Traore, the unit Adama Traore. Has it been confirmed 100%?
It's not officially official.
Okay.
it's been a very confusing transfer saga. There
Yeah.
was deal done, then off again, and then deal on again, and
Yeah.
then Fabrizio Romano posted a "Here we go," and then a couple hours after that came out, there was rumor that Adama Traore was not happy about the move and wanted to speak to Nuno about playing time, but apparently in the last day or so, the last couple hours here. Things have accelerated. He was at Rush Green training facility,
Yep.
getting medical stuff done, probably taking photos for official announcement too. So it does look like either probably tomorrow will be the official announcement for that signing. We were terminating. Officially, we have terminated the loan deal for Igor Julio from Brighton because we are trying. We're very close to bringing in Anton Klinsky from Tottenham on loan, a new goalkeeper, which I am kind of confused on because now we'll have 3, unless we're selling Mads Hermansen or sending him out on loan. I'm not sure what's going on there. And apparently we're in for Axel Diassi on loan from Chelsea. And apparently there was some sort of tire kicking towards Harry Maguire recently. Someone that Sullivan, the owner of West Ham, has apparently liked for a long time.
Well, yeah, Maguire's been linked with your team for a long time, especially during his kind of down years at Manchester United when he lost the captaincy, and we were thinking that he would get a transfer out of the team due to picking up Lissandro Martinez and De Ligt, among others, to kind of fill his space. But he has shown that he's a Man United player through and through and wants to stay on the team. And I feel like he's now become an asset for our team. He's a heading presence. He's played center back and striker for our team. And he's been a unit in the defensive end, but also a unit in the air, almost scoring that header to make it 1-0 against Manchester City. He scored the winner against Liverpool this season, and he also scored the winner, another header, against Olympique Lyon to send our team to the Europa League final, which obviously we lost to against Tottenham.
Well, if we're speaking about in-form players and West Ham, there's no player more in form on West Ham than Mateus Fernandes.
Yes.
He's been our best player all year.
Yep.
He scored a banger of a goal against Sunderland, his 3rd goal in the Premier League this season. He's just been, kind of a rock in the midfield for us all season. He's averaging a 7.2 rating in the last 2 games, 8.6 and 8.4 with 2 goal contributions. Someone that we're kind of relying on now to help drag us out, and he was a big acquisition. We spent $40 million for him in the summer, so it's good to see that a hammer of the year, Mateus Fernandes, is in good form for us as well.
Well, obviously, since you are losing Paqueta, since he's verbally agreed to join Flamengo.
Well, there's a little bit of
it's
kind of a weird transfer saga there. Again, apparently there was reports today he was at the airport heading to Brazil, but apparently that's completely false, and it's not that close to being done yet.
So your team is just full of...
no one really knows what's going on with Paqueta at the moment.
Yeah.
Because, no one knows what the actual amount for the bid was, because apparently there was a bid of $42 million, and now it's only 35. So I'm not sure exactly what's going on there, but it does seem like, he is going to be out the door. Obviously, he doesn't want to be here anymore. And, the last 2 games, he hasn't been in the squad or on the bench because of an injury, and we've won those games. So he's clearly not, being a good enough player to warrant, all the drama that's come with him.
Exactly. All right. So it has come to that time where we have to end our show here. You said last episode that you were going to learn a new language. Is that true?
I did not learn Spanish, unfortunately.
Can you do your special sign off for me? As obviously I tried to do it that one episode and it was absolutely abysmal. So let's hear it, Zach.
Bonjour, au revoir, and have a great rest of your day.
It just hits every single time. All right. See you later, guys.